You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatobi for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. Adding to that is the Doghouse, and so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. If you're looking for a way to make a real difference, check out Bethany Children's Health Center. They're helping children reach their full potential as a leader in pediatric rehabilitation. They're also building a new outpatient center of excellence, and it's going to be a landmark right on Route 66. Want to learn more or even schedule a tour? Just head to bethanychildrens.org and click on the Ways to Give tab. That's bethanychildrens.org. What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. We are down in downtown Oklahoma City. This beautiful view on this incredible day. This is like the first hot day of summer. It's supposed to be 90-something degrees today, and we can feel it. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce my guest today, Mark Beffort, who is the CEO of Robinson Park. There's a lot of cool buildings in downtown that you have a very good interest in, so I'm excited to dive into your story. I've had a good friend of yours on the podcast, Gary.
Yeah, Gary Brooks.
Gary Brooks. He said he did reference you in when I asked him what did your friends think about when you decided to do the national, and so he mentioned you. I think his quote was, "You told him he was nuts," something like that, which is you and a lot of people. But he's stubborn, and he is the way he is, right? So, but yeah. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for your time. I guess we'll just start with way back. Where were you born and raised?
Born in Salina, Kansas.
Okay.
I was raised in Dallas, Texas. My dad worked at Sears, Roebuck and Company, so we moved around a lot, to a couple places in Dallas. And after my freshman year in high school, moved to Topeka, Kansas. So spent my sophomore and half of my junior year there, and then moved to Chicago, Illinois. We lived in a suburb called Crystal Lake. I graduated high school at Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Okay. Growing up in Kansas, big family. What does mom and dad do? Are they entrepreneurs? Do you follow a family of entrepreneurs?
Don't follow a family of entrepreneurs. Both my mom and dad have passed away. My dad, I got my work ethic from my mom and dad. So my mom was an accountant, CPA, and every time my dad would move, my mom would go get a new job. So so we had mom and dad full-time careers. I forgot what we were talking.
Sorry, and for people listening, I'm suffering with allergies all day today, so I apologize if I'm sniffling as you're speaking. Just your upbringing, were you part of a big family, and then mom and dad entrepreneurs, and I guess what are the key things that maybe you look back on now that didn't seem as big experiences or things that shaped you at the time, but now they really stand out as pivotal moments in your childhood that make you who you are today?
Yeah, I think it's the love from my mom and dad. You know, my mom and dad worked 24/7, but they still loved us, and we knew it. I remember the days that this is back in the old days. Accountants would get checks in the mail, so then they would have to sort them. So I would get a penny a check to sort. So my mom would give me thousands of checks. I'd have them all along the dining room table, and I'd sort them, and I would count them, and I'd get paid at the end. So my parents engaged me in what they did, and I learned from them, and I thank them for that, because with that, I think today is a little different.
Yeah, a lot different,
Yeah.
right? You know, we don't really get handwritten checks anymore.
We do not. I still write
but-
I still write my checks. I love it, but you don't get them from the bank. You get them electronically because they've all been scanned in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so from that early age, then you clearly had the leadership from mum and dad, and the mum and dad had the ability and also just the wherewithal to be like, hey, you're going to understand the value of pennies, dollars, money, and then working and what that means, but also working with your hands as well.
Yeah.
Which is a skill that not a lot of people do today either.
Yeah, and you know the one thing that, yes, absolutely. The one thing that strikes me most about my dad is he worked at Sears his whole career until he retired. After he retired, he then got in politics because he was friends with Gary Johnson, which is the governor of New Mexico.
Okay.
And Gary asked him to be on his cabinet secretary, which he did for 8 years. But all that to say is my dad worked at one job, one place, Sears. He had multiple jobs at Sears. I've always been one where wherever you are, make the best of it. Don't always be looking for that next place. So
Yeah.
I've done one thing in my career. I've been in the real estate business. I started at one place. I was 11 years, and when I left, I started my own firm, doing the exact same thing, but trying to do it in a better and a different way.
Yeah. Is it Gary Keller that has that book, One Thing?
Yeah, that's
Keller
right.
Williams?
That's right. That's exactly right. That's right.
Yeah, I fight that a lot, and I think a lot of us fight that, thinking that just sticking to one thing when you have, especially like I'm 34, and so you have all these things pulling us and all these opportunities and all these ideas, especially in America too, to start businesses or to dabble in something. Do you think was there anything that you try to draw you away while you were doing that one thing, or did you think that like it was always going to be real estate? I'm sure there's been things popping at you here and there, right? To take you away.
Yes and no. I mean, when I started in the real estate business, I didn't know anything about real estate. I graduated college and I started in real estate. I got a job. I started a real estate business, and at the time I thought I didn't know who owned real estate. I thought maybe the government owned it all, but just migrated and spent a couple of years in being a data bank coordinator, really understanding the market. So,
what leads you when you're in high school? And you mentioned you were in Illinois, then you graduate at University in Illinois. What are you thinking in high school? Do you have, like, what are the dreams of 16-year-old Mark at that point? Do you think real estate? And then if so, what is that moment that makes you think, oh, I'm going to do real estate, I'm going to do it the best I can do?
You know, so I went to 3 high schools.
Okay.
So I freshman year in Dallas, sophomore and half a junior in Topeka, Kansas, and graduate in Chicago. I played football. That was my sport. I love football. And I wanted to be a football player for the Dallas Cowboys. And I was pretty fast. I was a receiver. And I ended up playing in college. And it's really interesting. So Coach Mack was my coach in Chicago. I said, Coach, I need your support. I want to play in college. He goes, okay, I think you have the ability to do that. He goes, but you're going to be a defensive back. I said, no, I'm going to be a wide receiver. I don't want to be a defensive back. I want to be a wide receiver. He goes, you can't play. You can't be a wide receiver. So I walked on at Washington University and got a scholarship, and I was a receiver.
Okay.
So it was, you know, we all have these moments in time that, you know, we try to defy those people that are, you know, bringing us along, and I think that was probably one of my defiance times. And but I think that, you know, back then you didn't have a lot of distractions, and I feel fortunate that I wasn't distracted by all the social media. We didn't have cell phones. We have all these things that kind of distract you. So I have not had that many things tugging on me to go do different things because I was purely focused on doing one thing. I got a job in the real estate business. And in my mind, I want to be the best at what I do. And that was being the best office real estate person in the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah. With your childhood, you mentioned dad's job and multiple jobs around, and then mum having my mum's an accountant then.
Yeah.
Too. Okay. So you have that background as well. You, even though they weren't quote entrepreneurs, you still saw them working hard every day even when they came home.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's like where the hard work is instilled in you.
Oh, absolutely. So we had jobs. We cleaned the house.
Yeah.
My mom cooked, and my brother and I cleaned the dishes every night, every meal. We did all the lawns. I remember back then, I'm an old guy, I'm 62 years old. So do you remember plush carpet? The shag carpet?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we had shag carpet. And shag carpeting, you would vacuum it, but then you would rake it.
Right, because it was like an inch.
It's thick. So you have this, it's just like an outdoor rake, but it's just more plastic.
Yeah.
So we would have to vacuum it. And then we'd have to rake it from one end to another. So there's no footprints.
Uh-huh.
And if you had any footprints on it, you had to redo it. And by the way, we cleaned the toilets. And we didn't have to just like clean the toilets. We had to clean on the back side of the toilets because it does get dirty in the back, but sometimes that doesn't get cleaned. So, you sit back and today I don't ever recall being disgruntled by that or back talking my parents about that because it was just the way we are. I mean, we got started early on. We had jobs. We had to do it. I got a little bit of an allowance, but that and then I got a paper route.
Yeah.
Remember the old days of paper route, whether it's raining or it's sunshine or it's early or it's late, you had to get that paper delivered. And we would get up early, about 5 o'clock in the morning. Papers would be delivered, and then we'd have to wrap them up, either put them in a plastic sleeve because it's raining, or you bundle them up with a rubber band. And I had this kind of gunny sack deal that had a big pouch here and a big pouch on the back. So you stuff all those papers in that big pouch, and then get on my bicycle, and I go down the street, and I knew my paper route by on, off, on, off on every street. So I would just run, and I would, in my mind, going on, off. I would just throw the papers. Every time it was on, I got a paper on the driveway. Okay. And then when the front got empty, you flip it over. You just did that as a boy too. So.
Yeah. Are there any days from your childhood that you would, like, if you had the opportunity, you would go back to tomorrow and relive that full day?
Oh, great question. Yeah, there was a couple of days, couple of plays in my football career in high school that I wish I could do over again. We were a really, really good team. I remember one day, Jimmy Laird, I played for Crystal Lake Central and he played for Crystal Lake South. We all were friends. And opening kickoff. I ran the kickoff back, so they kicked it off. I was on about the 5-yard line, caught it, kind of fumbled a little bit. So I'm down there kind of picking it up. I get the ball, and all of a sudden Jimmy Laird, he's like, I'm only 5'10", he's like 5'7" or 5'8", but he's big and stout. All of a sudden I see his helmet hit me right in the stomach, and I ended up on the ground. Nobody saw that I was hurt. So I crawl off the side, and all I could hear was my coach, Beffort, where are you? Because we're on offense now, right? And I was on the side. I couldn't breathe. Coach is wondering where I am. And so I would love to replay that and juke Jimmy Laird one of these days and go for a touchdown. So that would be what I would do.
Okay, love that. Was there any other sports, or was it only football?
Just played football. I played golf. I tried to play basketball. I was on the team. I was not that great. I had one good game, but just primarily football.
You play a lot more golf now later on?
I love to play golf. I play golf pretty well. I mean, I'm a 13, 14 handicap, but I've been a 7 before, and I've never been a scratch golfer or anything. But I don't play much anymore. The problem is time. I've got kids and got a busy career, and there's a lot of things that happen. And as I go through life a little bit, we go through ebb and flows, and but the one thing that doesn't change, 24 hours in a day.
Yeah,
that's never going to change. And I still try to do a lot in that 24 hours. I've learned to kind of navigate what I do and I don't do. And as much as I'd like to play golf, but by the time you get there and you get home, it's a 6-hour day.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a big commitment. So, yes, I'd love to play golf. I don't play as much as I should want to.
Well, when you do decide to slow down and take some time off to play golf, we'll play.
Yeah, I'd love to play. You any good?
I'm okay. Yeah, I can play.
You're probably like me.
I'm usually like the Monday ringer that people bring in to play in a charity event.
Nice.
Yeah, I played in college. And
oh, did you really?
I did,
oh, man.
I played at Southern Nazarene. That's what brought me to the States. I played college golf at Southern Nazarene.
Did you really?
And ended up staying after that. So
oh, wow.
I love it. I've been playing golf since I was 4 years old. 30 years now. So it's always been a constant in my life. Just love being outdoors, and it's.
Well, I want to go play. Let's go play soon this summer. Okay, you promise?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I love doing that. Yeah.
So, you graduated college. You mentioned working at a bank for 11 years.
No, I worked at CBRE, which is the largest real estate firm in the country. Back then, it was Coldwell Banker Commercial. And here's how I got to that. So Sears.
Before you start, is that the first job out of college?
First job.
Okay.
First and really only job.
Yeah.
So Sears, it was the darling. You're too young for this, but in the old days, we would get the Sears catalog.
You could buy houses out of that catalog.
You can buy anything. Yeah. So you circle everything you want. Your parents would look at it and they buy you those Christmas gifts. That was the creme de la creme. So Sears then wanted to do what they call the Sears Financial Network.
Okay.
They owned Dean Witter, Coldwell Banker, Allstate, and their Sears stores. So they believed that you would buy your home through Coldwell Banker Residential. They believed that you would buy your insurance through Allstate. You would buy and they manage your equity portfolio through Dean Witter. And you'd buy all your household goods and everything through Sears, whether it's clothing, furniture, and everything. So my dad was a Sears executive. Coldwell Banker was in Oklahoma City. They still are today. But back then, they had this small little commercial division. They really didn't pay attention to it because remember, they're trying to sell homes at the Sears store. So I started Coldwell Banker Commercial and did that for 11 years and ran the office department there. So.
Does mom and dad get transferred to Oklahoma City? Is that what brings you to Oklahoma City to work here?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So when we were in Crystal Lake, Illinois, the vans were packed the day of graduation, and my parents traveled to Oklahoma City to move into a new house.
Yeah.
And that same day, I flew to Topeka, Kansas, and started summer school at Washington University in Topeka, Kansas.
Yeah.
Where I went to college.
A lot closer than Chicago then. Obviously, mom and dad are a lot closer, just 5 hours.
It wasn't too, yeah. It's actually really not about 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think when you went from Illinois to Topeka, Kansas?
Yeah. Well, I'd already lived there because I went to high school there for a year and a half. But it was a shock because we all go through this, and we live with our parents, and now we're done. And I really went from one day to being on my own. My brother was at Washburn, so we lived together for the first year until I got into a fraternity. So.
Yeah. So you end up in Oklahoma City. What's the state of the city at that time? You're young, you're out of college, you're excited to get into a career and kind of make your mark on the world and work hard. What's life like? What's the city like? What's your friend group like?
Tough. So think about it. Penn Square Bank fails in 1983, and I arrived in 1985. And I go in the real estate business. Guess what? Nobody's in the real estate business. There's no business to transact.
Right.
I didn't know better. So I got a firm that my dad's semi-associated with. By the way, the reason my parents moved here in 1980 is because that's when Quail Springs Mall was opened up. Okay. My dad moved here and opened up the Sears store at Quail Springs Mall, which is no longer there today. It's a Von Maur. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it was a shock. I'm on my own. I've been under my parents' little thumb. But the nice thing was every month my mom would send a check in the mail. So we'd have a little extra cash every once in a while. So, yeah. So I have not, from the day I graduated high school, I've not been back at home since.
Oh, wow. Your older or younger brother?
I have an older brother, 3 years older.
Okay. Is he in the real estate world as well?
He works with me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he originally work with you starting out, or is that something that's happened since you went on your own?
Since I went on my own. So my brother, really smart, a lot smarter than I am. And frankly, my brother is would have been a better athlete than me. He is strong as an ox. Some people just got the inner strength. And he's about 6'1", 6'2". His problem was early on, my parents didn't realize he couldn't see.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't get glasses until a little later on. and that affected his ability to perform well in sports. Whereas I was a little bit younger, and I didn't have that problem initially. I wear glasses today, but I didn't have that problem initially. So I think my brother probably could have been a fullback or running back at a major university if he would have had that opportunity. He's fast and strong as an ox. But so he works with me today.
What did he do before he came here?
He started at Volume Shoe Corporation, which is the parent company for Payless.
Oh, wow.
Which is no longer around, right?
Yeah.
But he got started right out of college, and just like me, and just like our dad, he worked there for about 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And left, yeah.
So you when you come to Oklahoma City, you're getting into commercial real estate. There really isn't an industry. You're fresh out of college, and you're just every day is like trying to find people to do deals with. Tell me, what was that like? Trial by fire, literally, right?
Well, you being a little bit in the real estate business, you kind of understand it's hard. Well, I didn't know better, and I was called the data bank coordinator. Okay. So I was paid $1,200 a month. Times 12 is $14,400 a year. I did that for 2 full years. So my job was to create a database and manage our database. So the brokers then had the information to go make deals, right? We only had an office database, and it was loosely done.
Yeah.
So I spent 2 years. I can tell you today, every office building, who owned it in the entire career. I can tell you all the lenders. I can tell you the size. I can tell you the floor plate size, the parking ratio. I can tell you everything about it, almost every piece of real estate in Oklahoma City, because I did it for a couple of years. And then I've been in it ever since. So I've seen things that have migrated, things that have. I can tell you, well, it used to be this, but now it's this, and who used to own it, who developed it, and all those things. So I think that really has made me successful today, because that intellectual knowledge that, when you're talking to somebody, you can pull something out. It's just natural. Yeah. As opposed to, hey, well, what happened there? When it's so deeply ingrained in you, it just become part of your DNA. And that's what I did for those 2 years to really, I really didn't know it. I was raised by my parents. Hey, you get a job, you make the best of it, you work hard. I worked 80 plus hours a week. I was there all day Saturday and Sunday. I was there first thing in the morning, late at night, because I was a sponge, just absorbing this stuff. And that's just what I did.
Yeah. When you do that and you're there for, earning $1,200 a month for the first 2 years, are you thinking, because you've lived in a few different states at this point, are you thinking your roots are always going to be in Oklahoma, or are you thinking like your parents, maybe there's an opportunity that's going to take you somewhere else at that time?
Never had a thought or an inkling to go anyplace else.
Really?
I had 2 opportunities. So I represented most of the large institutions here in Oklahoma City throughout the years. So, back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of these properties were being taken back by the banks and the lenders. And you have the RTC, which is the Resolution Trust Corporation, which was really meant to come in and take over all the failed institutions, because we had a financial meltdown back then, right? Especially around here. So it never occurred to me, because I don't find happiness elsewhere. I find happiness where I am, and I never really had an itch at all. So I had one client back then. Sam Zell's group. They had a company called. It started off with First Office Management, then it went to Equity Office Properties. It's the largest office REIT in the country. They had a couple assets here. I represented them. They had this big asset in New Orleans. They said to Mark, "We want you to go down and take over all the leasing." So I went there, I looked at it, and I thought, I came home, I said, why? I've got a great opportunity. So, and think about it, you start in a career that nobody wants to get into for about 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And I just stayed in it. So that actually gave me market presence and ability that really entrenched myself. Whereas today, everyone wants to get in the real estate business. Yeah. Guess what? You got a lot more competition. And then, so why would I want to go to like a Dallas or Chicago? I'm just a minnow in a big old pond that's trying to find my way and grow, right? Most likely I'm going to get gobbled up and eaten by somebody else, right? Why not stay here and really make a difference?
Yeah.
So I've never had that itch at all. And this is my home. I wasn't born here, but let me tell you, people say, where are you from? I'm from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Nobody knows I'm from Salida. You do now because you asked me. But that's just, it's not, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever get back to Salina?
I don't, but you know, the one thing that I want to go back for is Cozy's Hamburgers.
Okay.
So it's you remember the White Castle hamburgers, the little ones?
I'm aware of what they are. Yeah.
So those little bite-sized hamburgers, maybe a couple bites, 3 bites. Cozy's was before White Castle. A little hole in the wall in downtown Salina, had like 6 stools, and the grill was like 50, 60 years old. You go and you get a 6-pack. And the little onion burgers, they were so good. I want to go back. I hope it's still open, but I don't have any family there at all, so there's no reason for me to go back.
To that point then, what is one of your favorite hamburger spots in Oklahoma City?
Oh, favorite hamburger spot in Oklahoma City.
You got some good ones.
Oh, we did. I would say House Smith in the garage does a really good buffalo burger.
Yeah.
And Spark is a really good. Hamburger's got to have good crinkle fries.
Okay.
Crinkle fries. So Spark does the crinkle fries. I'd say Spark and Buffalo Burger from the garage are my faves.
All right. What do we have? What's the order? Are we just meat and cheese only? Are we loading it up?
Oh yeah, just meat, cheese with mustard. Mustard.
Yellow mustard.
Yeah, yellow mustard. No veggies. You don't need veggies. Yeah, it just wastes space in your tummy when you get the rest of the good stuff.
Right. You're eating a hamburger for one reason, and not to have salad in it.
That's exactly.
Yeah. Love that.
I'm with you on that.
So, do you meet your wife early on in your career or a little later?
A little later. So I am divorced.
Okay.
So I have one, and frankly, I will tell you, my work led to my divorce.
Okay.
And because just wasn't there, unfortunately, my career is my life. But I have a daughter from my prior marriage. She's getting married May 24th.
Okay, that's right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
So a week from this coming Saturday.
In Oklahoma City?
Nope, in LA. So she moved to LA, and we can talk about her if you want to. But and then I was single for about 3 or 4 years, and I've met my new wife, and now I have 3 new kids, and wonderful kids, 15-year-old twins. I know, wow. I'm 62 years old. I got 50-year-old, 1 boy, 1 girl.
Oh, that's two podcast guests ago. Someone has exactly the same twins, boy, girl.
Boy, girl.
Like it's the holy grail of twins.
It's awesome,
right?
It's awesome. It's so different. How could one be almost 6'2" and an offensive lineman on the football team, and the other one, a cheerleader, very petite? It's amazing what God does. How He creates us, and they both came out of their mom's stomach at almost the same time. Yeah. They were born together. It's just crazy how things happen. And then I have a senior in high school that graduates in 2 weeks, and she is an equestrian rider.
Where at?
In Connecticut.
Okay.
In Simsbury, Connecticut, right outside of Hartford, at Ethel Walker. She's been there for 4 years. She came to us and said, hey, I want to get better. I've researched and I want to go visit these schools. And we said, okay, visit it. And we picked the one. It's an all-girls school. So she's been training under a national recognized equestrian rider. And she's going to start riding on the equestrian team at OSU.
Okay.
This fall.
Oh, wow.
It's exciting. Yeah.
Amazing.
She's really excited.
Is she English or Western?
She's English. Okay. So she's a 100 jumper.
Yeah. Big horses.
Yeah, big horses.
Yeah.
So she jumps 3 feet. 3 feet 5 inches, 3.6, something like that, and sometimes at 4.5, maybe. She says she does 4.5 sometimes, I think, but I think she kind of stretches it a little bit. Yeah.
To make you nervous watching it as a dad.
Oh yeah. She's fallen a couple times and hurt herself, but it's really. She's got to step on a stepping stool to get up on those horses. I mean, think about these horses, and it's like almost 10 times her size, 10 times, probably 5 times her size. And you're controlling that horse, jumping 4 feet in the air. It's very nerve-wracking. And when you go to these meets, it's watching some of these kids, and it's a marvelous sport, expensive sport.
Very.
Don't ever if you get married, and if you have a kid, do not ever let them ride horses, because if they have the bug, you're toast.
You're toast. It makes I think we share this. I love cars, and so.
Oh, you love cars? Okay.
Yeah. And so what I think of like a bit of a stretch as a car payment doesn't come anywhere near what a horse is every month. right? So it makes me like sane.
So you know Larry Nichols?
Yes.
So Larry Nichols' daughter, Addison Starling, rides horses as well. So we're at the Cadence barn up in Guthrie. Actually Guthrie, just off of Waterloo Road. And we're sitting there on a Saturday. He's watching his granddaughter, Addison. I'm watching my daughter, Stella, ride horses. And he looked over at me and he goes, Mark, you know the quickest way to make $1 million? He goes, start with 10 and buy a horse. And I go, wow, okay. Yeah. And I looked at him, I said, we just bought that horse. And I'm not spending that kind of money. So, but no, it is a very expensive sport. But you know, she loves it, and it's hard not to let your kids go after that passion. And she's very grateful. And I will tell you that their grandfather, the Shadids, Bill and Pam Shadid, pay for most of the cost for this. They've been very, very good grandparents and help support that. So,
Bill's a golfer too.
He is a golfer. Yeah. Oh, Bill. Yeah, he loves golf. And Pam's a golfer too.
Okay.
Yeah, they both golf.
Yeah, I used to work out at Oklahoma City Golf Country Club when I was in college, so I got to meet Bill. Every now and then when he was out there, but yeah, loves the golf. Yeah, he loves it. It still plays today. By the way, he's 85, maybe 86, and he still plays at least 3 or 4 days a week. That's the way to retire. Yeah, right? That's right. That is the way to do it. Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome. So, and the cool thing as well, I think for you as a former athlete, you know, in college, and you know, raising kids as well that are in athletics, you can have that conversation because you've been there. But also the equestrian world, I mean, it's hard work because you got to take care of everything too, and you're like, you know, you're mucking stalls and doing all the things, and then you talk about, you know, the English horses, you got to braid them, and that's not easy on the fingers. Like, it is not easy work. It looks easy and glamorous, right? That's right. And they, you know, they look great and they dress very traditionally compared to the Western side, but it ain't easy work. It is not easy work. So, you know, there's a lot of folks. I mean, it's a very wealthy sport. So and we don't play that game. So my daughter is, yes, she has to clean some stalls out. You got to clean poop, it's a very interesting sport. But the love that these kids have for these animals, and seeing that horse connect with that child is really it's remarkable. Yeah, it's hard to explain it unless you've been around it. Yeah. Because, right? I mean, even though these are giant, graceful animals, they're extremely emotional. Yeah. Right? They're scared. You know, they can be scared, but then they also mirror the rider. So you need that connection as a rider to, you know, show confidence and be like, no, I got to be assertive. And there's some great life lessons there. And there are. Like I said, there's going to be a time where you look back and like, this is worth investing in because, you know, 20, 30 years from now, you look back at your daughter and like, oh yeah, all these lessons have come from her showing and riding horses. Well, and being an athlete yourself, being in college and football and what she's done, going to college, being a question, it takes discipline. Mm-hmm. It takes the desire to get up and do whatever you did to prepare yourself for that day of golf, or whatever I had to do to get to the weight room. I had to get out on the road and go run, and you had to be in shape. And what she has to do, I mean, just because you're riding a horse, you're in as good a shape as any other athlete out there. It's your core, it's your legs, it's your stamina, it's mental capacity. I would say today, if I had 2 resumes and they both were equal, I'd take the athlete every time. Yeah, I don't know what people did in school that just went to school, right? Like, when we had a little bit of time sometimes around, you know, college, doing studies and traveling with, you know, whatever team you're on, but I'd have had 3 degrees, I think, if I did. I was just bored. Or you get in some trouble. You get in trouble. Yeah, that's definitely right. I would have got in trouble. Let's talk about you deciding to start your own firm, go on your own after 11 years with the company. What leads to that choice? You know, I had a really good time, a really good career at CBRE, but you know, it became more of a transaction. Everything was just, you know, get a deal done, move on. And I wanted to really impact people's lives a little bit more, and I figured we could do it a little different way. So we decided to start our own firm, and we had one client that
let us lease some space from them, and they gave us their portfolio to lease, and then we ultimately took over the management of that. So they just wanted to do it a little differently.
Yeah. Going back to what you said earlier about always kind of wanting to be the best in the industry that you're in and just doing that one thing, is there any key moments that stand out? And I mean, it's not easy to go out on your own. It's nerve-wracking, but you'd been here for 11 years, and so at that point, it's just taking the title of another company and putting your own in it. But at the end of the day, you're still, it stops with you at that point, right? So
that's right.
What's that like as an entrepreneur coming in, taking all the risk and, managing all these different firms and having to, put yourself on the line and not having a backup?
That's a really good question, because when you're a third-party manager, you then are at the whim of somebody else making a decision that you may or may not agree to, but you have to go through because you have a fiduciary to that particular client that you're representing. So I really wanted to get into a position that I could really make decisions to change and impact people's lives. I firmly believe, and that's one of the reasons I've been in the office world forever. Number one, I love it. It's a passion. I'm not a work from home guy. Some people are. I get it. It's fine. Not every job can be done from home. And I think hopefully we're proving that. Some jobs can, and that's fine. But we have the ability to impact people's lives more than anything else they do. People will spend more time with us in a given week than they do anything else. Maybe sleeping, some people sleep a lot. If somebody sleep a lot, you're going to sleep more, but you're not awake. So we take really pride in trying to make sure we have the right environment. So how we communicate to people.
Yeah.
How they see us react, how we handle the back of the house, what they see, what they feel. All those what we call touch points. And a guy named Alan Markham, who used to work at Devon, now works at Chickasaw Nation. He taught me a little bit about touch points, and he firmly believes that in a particular day, somebody will have about 750 plus or minus touch points. Everything they see, they hear, they smell, how you communicate. And we try to make sure all those touch points are a positive influence on those people. And if so, then you're really impacting their lives in a positive way. And it's how they then live their lives in the situations they are in. So that's kind of what got me going.
Okay. So was it always Robinson Park, or was it a different company name to start?
Yeah, it started off just Gary Brooks. So Gary and I started, along with Michelle, who's still our CFO.
Okay. So
the three of us started in March of 1996, just Beffort Brooks Property Company.
Yeah.
Then it became Beffort Brooks Malherbe, and then Chris Malherbe left, and a guy named Brad Hogan came, and then it became Beffort Brooks Hogan, and then Brad left, and then Brad actually left when we merged with Harrison Levy, so it became Levy Beffort, and then we brought in or merged with Tim Strange, so it became Levy Strange Beffort, and then now we've recently over the years we merged to 3 different operating companies.
Okay.
And of those 3, we had Square Deal Investment Management, then we had Robinson Park, and then we had Newmark Robinson Park. But before that, we branded as Robinson Park because we were founded at the corner of Robinson and Park. And I wanted it not to be my name because this company is not about me. This company is about every individual we have and the impact we're making on our community, not about me as an individual. And so we wanted to make it as everyone's company. And so this company wouldn't survive without people like Daly, who you just met helping set this up, or everyone else. We all have roles, and I think we all, at least most of the folks within our firm, understand what the impact they're making, and I think I like it.
Yeah. What are the kind of lessons you've learned over the different mergers and bringing people in, people leaving? I mean, that's happened quite a lot. Mm-hmm. So you're obviously very used to it at this point, but that might scare a lot of people listening, thinking we founded with this business and then we bring someone else in, and there's a lot of emotional things that happen. There's ego. There's all these things. Mm-hmm. How do you manage all that?
Yeah. It's difficult, but for me, I have always been steadfast in my approach at what I'm doing. And I'm always willing and love to have people ride along with me. And there's always been a particular incident that caused one person to move on. First, Chris Malherbe, he actually moved out of town and had an opportunity to go to a different city and do retail. He's still part of the Newmark corporate network nationally, so we still are friends today. Brad Hogan, the Hogan family is very influential here in town, and he went off and did some things with his family. And then Harrison Levy today is still, Gary Brooks is I consider Gary Brooks my best friend. His wife's my CFO. And then Harrison Levy, we merged his firm in with ours. Harrison is 86 years old, still has an office with us, and still comes to the office every day he's in town. So yes, we've had iterations, but that's just growing pains, and it's just evolving as a company to get to a stable point. And we have had some folks that have come with our organization that want instant gratification. Yeah. Real estate is an instant gratification, and it's taken us since 1996 to get where we are. We're just beginning. We've gone through a lot of phases, but one thing that's stayed true is our passion, and I'm here and I'm not going anywhere.
How do you maintain that day one mentality? After being in the industry for 37 years, been successful, done all the things. A lot of people in a position would be like, I'm just going to take my cut, sell out, and play golf or do something else. You see my grandkids and my kids, and just like.
I don't know. I set my alarm for 4. You know how many days a week I have to actually turn my alarm off?
After listening to you for 40 minutes, probably 0.
But it may be twice a month.
Yeah, after a late thunder game.
Yeah. Like this morning I did. I did this morning. But so I get up, and
why 4 o'clock?
My body.
Is that from the paper?
Probably. Yeah, maybe. That's a great point. I never even thought about it, but probably I'm just. And it's just my body wakes up. And guess what? I get out of bed. I go take a shower, and guess what I do? Hop in my car and go downtown. I don't think about it. That's just what I do. And I'm always the first in the office. And I try to be home by 7 o'clock. So I'll leave about 6:30.
Yeah.
It's a full day.
12-hour day.
And it doesn't even cross my mind not coming to the office. So I don't think about, I don't want to go to the office today. I got too much stuff to do. I got stuff to do. And frankly, stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
Now, there's some things I do that I don't want to do, but I will never have a job within our company that I either haven't done or won't do. So.
Do you think there'll ever be a point that you'll get to and one day you'll wake up and just be like, maybe I'll do something else today?
You'd have to ask some other people.
Is that part of some of your nightmares? What am I going to do? I don't have any purpose.
Well, we've had. I will tell you, I've had some recent scares. I will tell you. Recently, we had a wire fraud.
Oh, they're not good.
And we had a significant amount of dollars that got confiscated through a confiscated wire, and I'm talking millions.
Yeah.
You're talking about a bad day.
I have some with real estate world. I've heard some of the stories in the title industry, and that they get bogus emails, and the email is off, or just add an I or add a G, or in the Gmail, like all these little things that you would never. They just hack in straight into the email, and then here's the code that you sent to close, and here's the wire transfer, and it's surprisingly very easy.
Very easy.
That was not a fun day of coming to work then, obviously.
It wasn't. I didn't get the call till late morning, and then so you get that call and you're just in immediate shock, but you can't lament over it. You got to start getting into action. Our particular issue was we have partners across the country, and one of our partners' email got confiscated, and this particular hacker had set up a separate folder on the side and set rules, and then every email about a particular transaction would go to this folder.
Yeah.
So he wasn't seeing things happen because it was all happening in this other folder that the bad actors were controlling.
Right.
Then things got sent to my accounting department, and that's where you get into the one letter off, and because they don't talk the bad actors aren't going to talk like the same. We didn't catch it, and we should have. There's no excuse. Money was gone. 45 days later, we got all back but $8,000.
All of it, but $8,000.
All but $8,000.
Would you hire an internal firm in cybersecurity firm in Oklahoma City or outside to get that?
We did not.
Okay.
So the wires were transmitted through a local bank, and they worked diligently to work through that. And then it went through 2 national banks, then went overseas, went to 2 different countries. And we got the FBI and the U.S. attorneys involved. And I have been told that you don't get this money back.
Yeah.
But we got it. So I will tell you, somebody's watching out. Somebody blessed us.
Yeah.
And there's no other reason. It's not anything that I did. The money came back.
I can't imagine that gut feeling you get when there's millions gone and you're like, it's our fault. We take ownership and.
Yeah. So I mean, we have a lot of stuff, and we're custodials for a lot of people. A lot of people invest with us. And my first thought was, okay, if this money's gone, I got to replace it because this is investors that trusted me. I've got a fiduciary. I've got to replace this money. So then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how am I going to, either through this, that, or whatever? And I had a plan. Fortunately, I didn't have to execute it.
Yeah.
So
was that your worst day of work in 37 years?
Ever.
Yeah.
Worst day.
Nothing comes even close to that.
Nothing has come close to that except for the last 5 years have been the worst worst period of my life.
Because of COVID?
Yeah.
Okay. Because obviously everyone went from home and then you're like, all these empty buildings, what do we do?
Yeah, so if you think about what happened with COVID, so we go through a high inflationary period, and what happens? Interest rates go up. They got to tame down. Occupancies are going down because of work from home, but your operating costs are going up. So you got 4 competing forces that, and there are hundreds of billions of dollars that have been lost. It's just a whole tranche of capital in the office market in the United States have just been lost. Significant amount of dollars. And it's because occupancies have gone down, expenses have gone up, interest rates have gone up, and inflation or construction costs have gone up. So, but there's some good things about that. If you're able to weather the storm, you weren't fiscally irresponsible.
Yeah.
And you were able to pivot. You could do okay. And we have been fortunate. We have not had to give any properties back to the lender. We still own everything that we do. And but we had to make significant changes. And I will tell you, it's been a tough 5 years.
What were the big shifts in the industry because of that? Like, that's the first effect. What's the domino effect of that? Are there people who outside countries that have lots of cash that see opportunity to come in and buy and help and save, and whether it's short term for the seller is needing to sell because they need cash out to do other projects? So what were the big shifts of the stories that you were dealing with over the last 5 years that you hadn't seen previously?
Yeah, no, there's several. It was when you started in March of 20, and then you went into probably for a couple of years, so get through about late 2022. Office was off the chart. I mean, off. Nobody wanted to touch it. Then started 22. People are starting to think, this world is probably going to still go to the office a little bit, so it's not going to be completely devastated. So there have been huge private equity funds that have put together funds purely to go buy distressed office. Yeah. And some of them got in a little too early. Timing is everything. And you may think that you've hit the bottom, but you haven't. So you come in, values are here, now they're here. There still was some settling, but I think we're down towards the end of the settling because, frankly, they can't get much lower. So, and every market's different. Every property's different, and all based upon who the ownership structure is, what their capital resources are, what their current in-debt structure is, what are their what's the financial underwriting of it? What are the length of the tenant's leases? What are the leases compared to market? There's a lot of competing factors, and we were fortunate that we had not all, but we had a good portion of those metrics that we could at least have some sense of control of.
Yeah. Are you, in the business sense, with you have all these partnerships and all these relationships, and whether it's working close with the city government or investors, you have all these. Commercial real estate isn't just, the building and the people that are going to put the tenant. You have all these surrounding, Be Healthy Cafe down below. That's a great place. Awesome. Awesome. Love their Elvis smoothie. People listening need to go get one if they haven't had one. Is there anything else anything that stands out to you as far as just over the years? Is there one key partnership that you're like, man, this has just set me on a space that really, I'm really happy to have those people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would. I'll tell you a couple. So, as I said, I just have my head down. I never thought that I would ever own a piece of real estate. I was just wanting to be the best office broker in town. I was trying to sell Corporate Tower office building, 101 North Robinson here, 279,000 square foot office building, 14 stories. Selling it for Money Life Insurance Company. Remember, I told you I represented most of the insurance companies through the days. They asked me to sell it. So I'm out trying to sell it, and a guy walks in my office. He said, I want to buy this building. I said, never heard of him, didn't know who he was. He ended up making a lot of money in the oil and gas business, and we thought he ended up buying the building. He came into my office 3 months after he bought it. He says, I want to make you a partner in this building. Let's go buy some more. So I sold a building, earned a commission, did my deal, came back in, and to this day I meet with him every Monday at lunch. It's Roy Oliver.
Okay.
So Roy and I today own multiple offices downtown, from Corporate Tower, Oklahoma Tower, the Braniff Building, Leadership Square, City Center Squad. This particular building we redeveloped here, which is City Place. Alliance Tower on Northwest Expressway. He's invested with me in a hotel in New York City that we own. We've developed our own software, which we're actually hitting the market here real soon.
Okay.
Called Pogo. So we've done a lot together. So I owe an extreme amount of my success to Roy Oliver.
Did you ever ask Roy, or have you ever asked Roy what he saw in you back then that made him make that decision?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay.
No, I don't. So then I move on to, now I've had a fairly good reputation in town that I'm an okay office guy. I kind of know a little bit about real estate. So there's one of the greatest families in town are the McLaughlins. And Fields of Futures, and they just are the stellar within this community. I can only strive to be half of what they are. So they sold their company, Advanced Foods, in Enid, Oklahoma, and they were investing their funds. They started to buy a little bit of real estate. Anytime you have money, you should diversify a little bit. You should do a little this, a little that. And so they wanted to do some real estate. They bought some real estate assets, and they really weren't buying. I don't think they made some of the best decisions. They ended up okay on them all, but they wanted to buy this building in Tulsa. So they called and said, hey, let's buy this together. And I said, okay. So we ended up buying that building together, and we ended up forming, we're sitting in this office today, which was Square Deal Investment Management. But if I told you earlier, we rolled them all up under together. Now we're all called Robinson Park.
Okay.
McLaughlins are still my partners today in Robinson Park.
Okay.
Along with Roy Oliver.
Yeah.
So Roy Oliver, myself, and our family own Robinson Park. So we set out to raise money with friends and family, other family offices in town, to go out and buy high-rise, Class A, urban core office towers.
Okay.
So we own office properties across the country in Columbus, Kansas City, Missouri, Indianapolis, North Carolina. We had one in Bentonville, Arkansas, and then which we recently sold, and then 11017. So we raised a lot of money. It was a little over $250 million and bought these assets, and we still oversee those today. And then Dick Tannenbaum, if you know Dick, Gardner Tannenbaum is one of my best friends. And Dick has always been in the multi-housing and the industrial sector. Dick and I have grown really close together and have started to develop some things. So, and we do primarily, things that we have done together primarily have been joint partnerships with the city of Oklahoma City. And that's what we did, the Convergence Project, which we built Innovation Hall for the city of Oklahoma City, just recently completed that. And then we have the OKC 577, which is a 577-acre industrial development down at I-240 in Eastern. So I would say those three people really are who I am today.
What was the reason to bring everything under one brand recently?
It had been, the market was confused.
Okay.
Of where I was. And I would have an opportunity, and they said, well, are you doing this by yourself? Are you doing this with Roy? Are you doing this with McLaughlin? Are you doing this with Dick? So I'd have different brands and stuff out there. And we really needed to consolidate all of that together. And we think that we're better together. Not that I want to get into a bunch of slogans, but we have 3 different offices. But we're all intertwined in some form or fashion. We all support each other, whether it's a management function or a brokerage function or asset management function. We needed to work together, bring all this to gain greater efficiency, greater communication, greater support, and really provide much better service to our investors and our clients.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Makes a lot of sense, right? Because you have people reaching out to you, and you know, after 5 or 6 of those, you're like, I'm still doing everything. I just need to give someone back to what you said earlier, just one thing, one answer, like yes.
That's exactly right.
That's what we do versus, thinking, he does this. Well,
that's right.
Because then when people think if you do a bunch of things, they don't think you're good at it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Remember,
that
24 hours in a day.
It keeps running out. It's funny. I saw an Instagram video yesterday, and it was a lady saying why she gets up at 4:30 every morning. And I think she said that if she does that every day, it's like an extra 14,000 hours. I haven't done the math, but it was in some Instagram things, so it must be true. It was 14,000 hours a year, I think, extra.
That's awesome.
I guess if that's the math, 2 hours a day.
I have to do the math, but something like that.
Maybe it's long, but who knows? But it was something like that. It was crazy.
So she felt like
over a lifetime, it was 14,000 hours. It was But it makes sense, right? An extra 2 hours. Most people get up at 6. Yeah. Most working people do anyway.
It all depends. If you're, what do you do? What do you do with those 2 hours?
Right.
Are they productive or are they non-productive? And then the definition of productive. I mean, is it quiet time, or are you just watching a movie, or are you outside smoking a cigarette, not doing anything? Are you plumbing through TikTok?
Yeah.
I think that I love that concept, but I'd like to know what you're doing to those additional 2 hours.
To that point, then, how has your morning routine evolved over the years?
Pretty much the same.
Okay.
It may change on what restaurant I go to get my morning breakfast, but I'm a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin, a small Coke guy from McDonald's.
Okay.
I still today probably do that at least 3 days a week.
You and Warren Buffett.
That's right. Love that. I used to always get a plain bagel with cream cheese from Panera Bread.
Yeah.
Some days I get up, take a shower, I get my food on the way to work, and I come to the office, turn my computer on, and start figuring out what did I do the day before and what I need to do today.
Let's talk about some fun stuff. When do you start treating yourself over the years, and when you do spend some time to yourself or want to treat yourself, whether it's with your kids and wife, and personally, what do you do?
Well, for a while, about 10 years ago, I spent about 10 years doing triathlons.
Oh wow!
So I'd like to do half Ironmans, not a full, but half.
73, 70.3?
70.3.
Okay.
So I did that for a while. Still love to ride bikes.
Yeah.
Love to snow ski. And I love to travel. When I travel, I love to travel to my properties. So,
Yeah.
So we own, during COVID, we started buying hotels. So we own 10 hotels across the country and stuff like that. So I do a lot of my traveling like that. I always take a trip to the beach someplace at spring break. A lot of times we go to Jamaica. So, that's probably it.
Was there just a huge opportunity for the hotel industry when you started buying hotels in COVID?
Yeah, so we sat around and said, okay, we got this huge tsunami coming at us. We don't know how, is that tsunami going to be a 10-foot wall or a 100-foot wall of water at us? Let's start thinking about where are the opportunities, how can we mitigate that tsunami and kind of spread things out a little bit?
Yeah.
Because at that time, we were primarily, not 100%, but primarily office, high-rise, Class A, or in core, second-tier cities across the country. So we thought, okay, where are the opportunities going to be? So in our office properties, you have long-term contracts. And so you try to manage those risks and timing of when the debt and all those kind of things. We thought, well, I probably in high inflationary times, I need to have a shorter contract period.
Yeah.
So multi-housing, you probably have a year or 6 months, maybe a month to month. But in hotels, you go day by day.
Yeah.
You can, now, you got to have somebody who's willing to pay it, right? But you can at least change your pricing on a day-by-day basis. And we felt like, and there was significant financial hardship in the hotel business. So we were looking for opportunities, and we felt like we made some pretty good buys. And when I say we, I want very clear that this isn't me. I'm just the face. I'm just the guy that puts together and finds the opportunities. But we have a lot of really faithful partners that invest along with us. So I wish I could name every one of their names, because I would not be here without their trust in me to buy these things. But so we felt like we had good opportunities. We still own all 10 of them. So we bought 3 in Oklahoma City, 1 in Tulsa, 1 in Charlotte, 3 in Chicago, 1 in Minneapolis, and 1 in New York City.
Okay. Which one do you prefer, the hotel game or the office game?
Oh, man. Love both of them for different reasons.
Okay.
And I love, we got really 4 really good, historic, significant hotels in the Skirvin and Concord here in Oklahoma City. And then we own the Orrington Hotel, which sits right almost on the Northwestern University campus.
Okay.
It's called the Orrington because Mr. Orrington founded Northwestern University. And then we own the Martinique Hotel, 32nd and Broadway in New York City, which is built in 1897. So we have these 4 hotels, and the rest of them are good hotels, but they don't have that historic, that significance. So I just love that. And, I love the hotels are businesses, and I love running things, whereas office buildings are a piece of real estate. It's a little different. They're, the financials, when you look at a financial statement, it's all the same. You got your revenue coming in, you got your expenses, you get down to your net, you got to minus off your debt, you got to minus any capital expenditures, you get your net cash flow. That net cash flow, then on how much money you invested, depends on what your yield is, right? There's a lot that happens in between it. It's a little different for hotels than it is for office buildings. But I will tell you, I love hotels, but I won't ever be an operator of a hotel. We're not in the hotel management business, and here's why. Concord Hotel, 70 employees. Revenue, $11 million. Leadership Square office building, 735,000 square feet. Revenue, $20 million. 7 employees.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
A lot different.
Right?
It's a lot more people business.
Yeah, that's right.
So hotel, which is, again, is good and bad depending on what your management and what you want to do.
That's right.
But
That's right.
Yeah, that's and day by day too. You're kind of you're in the war room every day in a hotel,
You are.
right?
You
Changing
are.
prices and seasons and
Oh
all
my
the
gosh.
things. And
We got a great partner that runs most of the day-to-day operations for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what gets you into the triathlon stuff? And how old are you when you do your first triathlon?
Did my first triathlon when I was Like 39 or 40.
Okay.
So I was a latecomer.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
just an age grouper. So you did compete with people 5-year tranches. I just had some friends that were doing it and said, let's go out and try it. And I got on the bike first day, literally thought I was going to die.
They're just going for a casual 50-mile ride. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But the seat ends, I hate it.
Oh yeah. And then so it really took about 3 years to build a base. And then once you build that base, it was fun. And there's nothing more invigorating. I hated to swim. I'm a horrible swimmer. I hated to swim. I remember one time I had an accountant. I can't remember her name, but she was helping at one of the triathlons. I didn't know she was helping there. And I only did lake swims if I could wear a wetsuit. So you can wear a wetsuit if it's 74 degrees or less, right? Maybe it's 73. I can't remember what it was. So it was swimming in Canton Lake, a little bit out of town here. So I'm swimming, and I'm thinking, I'm about ready to die. I was just a horrible swimmer. And all of a sudden, I could feel the bottom. So I found myself crouching over, walking, and acting like I was swimming just to get through the swim. It was crazy. And then when you get out of the water to prepare yourself for the bike, the second event, they have what they call strippers. So she strips. So I didn't realize it, but she was watching me get out. And by the way, I was in the bottom 25% getting out of the lake because you all start together, just push out. And so I got my stuff off. I go do my bike. I'm a really good biker, so I can make up a lot of distance. I end up after the bike. I end up in the top third. I pass a lot of people on the bike. And I'm an average runner, so I end up getting it done. I get to the office the next day, and the great thing about triathletes is you have a lot of handicapped folks that can actually compete. Because if you're handicapped, whether you have an amputee leg or whatever, it doesn't prevent you from hopping on a bike and running. It's really, really fun. And you get to the office, and she said, John, who's an amputee, and a 14-year-old boy got out of the water before you. I go, I'm sorry. She was like stacking grief on me, and I go, you know what? I'm okay, because guess what? 99% of America aren't even out here. And I'm getting through it. I'm doing it, and I just enjoyed doing that. It was a challenge to get better. It was my whole. I wanted to be the best biker I could, and I just figured I'd get through the swim, because you think about it, the swim in a normal race, you're going to swim probably 10% of the time. You're going to ride your bike about 60% of the time, and the rest of it's going to be the run.
Yeah.
So,
what is it about that dark pain cave that you go to during long distance endurance sports? Because it's hard to explain unless you've been there. That moment of like, this is miserable. I'm literally focusing on putting one foot in front of the other.
yeah.
What is it about that you just like keeps bringing you back?
Get to the finish, not quitting.
Okay.
I would not quitting. It's a humbling sport, because they put your age on your calf. So you could be running along, and a older will run right by you. And you go, okay, body, let's go. You can't do it.
You got nothing left.
You got nothing left. You're just trying to get through it. So yeah, it's humbling, but it's rewarding.
Yeah.
Because how many people can say they just swam 1.2 miles, rode a 56-mile bike, and ran a half marathon, and did it in 5.5 hours?
Yeah.
Not many people.
Right.
I don't care how hard you, and you're always trying to, you got to try to beat your personal best.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to continue. And it's an individual sport, because in triathlons, there's no drafting. It's not like riding a bicycle event. And there's officials out on that course that if you don't, when you come up on somebody, you have to pass them within 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get a penalty.
Yeah.
And they start adding time. So there's no drafting and all this kind of things. But what I did love is getting on that bike, and I would just clip people. I'd go 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. I'd look up, and you see a whole pack full of people, and you say, okay, within the next 3 minutes, I'm going to catch those guys. And you pass them, And you love it when you pass some of your buddies, you go, hey, John, how you doing? See ya. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. There's, do you know who David Goggins is?
I don't.
Okay, so he's like a big ultra runner, does crazy stuff. He was a SEAL and
Oh, wow.
written some incredible books and all this stuff. Well, he calls it taking souls. If he sees someone in front of him, he's like, I'm going to take your soul.
Oh, I
and
love that.
And then the next person you're passing. So he just calls it, every time he's running or whatever he's doing, whatever race he's doing, he's taking souls.
That's the triathlons. I heard that the triathlons eventually got started by the SEALs.
Okay.
They go, what would be the longest swim? And it's going to be from here to here is 2.4 miles. They said, what would be the longest bike or biking from, what would be the hardest? They came up 112 miles, right? I'm not sure what the distance was. And they go, what run? And they said marathon. So they put them all three together and they got triathlon. That's what I heard. Now that may be just for
Yeah,
so.
I've done a little bit of ultra running, and
Have you really?
Out of the 5 that I have done, I've only finished 4, and I regret quitting the 1.
Did you? Yeah. So we say that. So you did a 50-mile run.
50K, 31 miles.
31 miles.
The Stillwater Mid-South.
Oh, did you really?
It's a gravel. So they have a gravel bike race on the Saturday, which is a 100-mile gravel race.
Yeah.
Or you can do a 50-mile gravel race on the Saturday. But someone suggested 10 years ago they should start a run on the Friday, and so there's a 50K run on the Friday, which starting at District Bicycles is in Stillwater. That's where the race starts.
Yeah.
And so you run 3 miles out of town, and usually at the 3-mile point you hit gravel roads, and then it's gravel for the rest of it, and then you do a loop and come back. But the bike route changes every year.
That's impressive.
It's crazy.
31 miles.
31 miles. So I do it. It's every March. It's like the second weekend in March.
When's the last time you did it?
I did it this year.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I've done it every year for the last 5 years, and one I didn't finish. It snowed, and the snow wasn't the problem, but it melted when we were on the course, and then you're running on gravel roads, and I had nothing left of me, and I sat down, and there's 8 stations every 5 miles, so you just like get to the next one. And I got to the...
So what's your favorite consumption of food? Goo?
Goose, yeah. But then
What's your flavor?
Oh, berries.
Oh, berries, yeah.
I can't do the chocolate.
I like the orange for whatever.
The orange is
reason.
zesty.
Yeah.
It's kind of like got a bit of twang.
Yeah, it gives a little,
Yeah, so I got to the aid station and I sat down and I was cold. I got cold. A truck pulled up at a moment of weakness and was like, do you want to go back to town? I'm like, yes, get me out of here now. I was at mile 20. I had 11 miles to go. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And I had leggings on and I had my shorts over my leggings because I was cold, and I had like chafing on the inside of my thigh and it was cold and stinging, and I was like, get me out of here now. But anyway.
But it's not like it was your first. So that was
that was like my third one, I think.
Yeah.
But there's something about it, right? You get through halfway and you're like, okay, I got another 16 of this to go, and it was this year. It was during the fires. It was the weekend the fires started in Stillwater, so they canceled the race about 30 minutes after I finished.
Wow.
Yeah, to get people off the course, and then all the emergency services were busy fighting fires, so they didn't even have the bike race on the Saturday.
So I've never thought of doing that. How many people actually compete in those?
There was 600 people in the run.
600 people in the run? So
because they added a half marathon as well.
So 600 people were doing an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
How many people finished?
Half?
No. Most of them?
Yeah, I'll have to send you the race results. Yeah. Well, we didn't get the race results this year, but last year's race results. But then a lot of people come in for the bike race, which is quite a legendary, big time. A lot of professionals come in for the bike race.
Yeah.
And so they spend all week in Stillwater, spend a bunch of money, have parties and cycle, and they do. They have a DFL party for the run and the cycle race, and so some of the pros show up on the Friday night at the DFL party because the Jeep Club of Oklahoma is like the support club for their Jeeps and driving around four-wheelers. They're the support crews for people coming in. So there's great videos out there of the last person finishing coming in downtown Stillwater, no the lights on, you just lit up like beams from these Jeeps that are bringing.
Oh, how cool is that?
Awesome. Yeah, it's such and being out it's from cycling and running, just being in the country as well. Nothing around you. There's no cars going around you. You're on gravel roads. It's a special place.
It is. It's a special place in your own mind because you get a lot of time to reflect and you're not distracted by anything. Yeah. I love being on a bike because you're out, trucking along, and we would average around 23 miles per hour. So we're clipping
you're
a pretty
cooking.
good,
Yeah.
we're pretty good pace. I mean,
Yeah.
there's better bikers, but we do pretty well. You're just running along. You're seeing a lot of terrain. You're talking. You really have, you get away from your day-to-day grind, and you're really able to reflect on a lot of things.
I mean, our bike trails around Oklahoma City are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I assume you traveled quite a bit, took the bike, and did
I
the
was a
whole
road
thing.
bike guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have. I'll tell you why. I bought a mountain bike.
Uh-huh.
I went over to Lake Hefner, and wasn't that skilled. Didn't have any problem clipping in, right? So I clipped in on the road all the time. So I clipped in, and first time I went on the out by Hefner, I was doing fine. We just were out for about an hour or so, and about 45 minutes in, I'm getting a little tired, and I started to go up a hill. And I lost my footing, and I couldn't clip out, and I fell.
Oh, yeah.
And I hit my head on a rock. That's why you got to wear a helmet. But I from that day forward, I just never wanted to go back and mountain bike again. So I mountain bike in Deer Valley a little bit,
Okay.
just from the summer vacation. But it's all downhill.
Yeah.
And I was a little hesitant. I'm a little slower than maybe everyone else. So yeah.
Yeah, Bentonville's amazing too, right? I know you mentioned that.
Bentonville's
crazy for biking.
I mean, they've done a great job
Yeah.
of building their system around biking from place to place. Yeah.
Finishing up, because I know you got to go and you're
Yeah.
extremely busy, so I appreciate your time. I'm in the real estate space, predominantly the luxury real estate space.
Yeah.
If you were to rebuild your dream house today, no budget, do whatever you want, build whatever you want for you and your family, what does it look like and why?
I would build a 20-story high-rise condominium. I had the top floor of it, overlooking all of Oklahoma City.
Okay. Is the Devon Tower for sale anytime soon?
No, but no. So this building you're sitting in, so we bought this for $13.50 a square foot. So we paid $7 million for it. And we never made a dime off of it, but we've renovated the entire thing. So we just kind of restored the building. I took the top 7 floors and turned it into 6 residential units. Every floor represents 1 floor, except for the top 2 floors is 1 unit and has an interior staircase. And I took one of those floors and built my home on the 28th floor. I don't live there today. It was the greatest house ever. So that was on the 28th floor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to live on the minimum of the 20th floor in a tower that we built, high-rise condominium living here in Oklahoma City. I'm going to be on the top floor.
Love that. Last question.
Yeah.
It's clear listening to you talk about your passion for people, but also what you said earlier about never thinking about leaving this place. What does Oklahoma mean to you? When people say to you, tell me about Oklahoma, why do you live there? What does this place mean to you?
Man, when I moved here, I was just a kid. It's provided me everything, and it's given me opportunity. I worked hard for it, but I would not be here today if it wasn't for the leadership we have here in Oklahoma City. And I think it's incumbent upon me to help continue that for every Oklahoman. My goal, whatever way I can do to help improve our educational system, make sure everyone in this state, or really primarily Oklahoma City, has a job. If you have a job, you have a better job. So we do that through providing opportunity through economic development, and that's what I do. I provide opportunities, I provide space, I build spaces, I build communities that improve the quality of life for all Oklahomans. I love this place. I have tremendous respect for our leadership, both from a public and private standpoint. If you think about some of the folks that have given so much to the city, from Aubrey McClendon, Clay Bennett, Larry Nichols, David Rainbow, and the list goes on and on and on. We would not be here without all of those folks' continued legacy. I'm a little concerned about the next generation. We have been infiltrated with a whole new way of life through social media and instant gratification. And I'm concerned about where that next level of leadership is. And I just hope I can be one of those folks. But heck, I'm 62. I'm kind of in the mid-range. I mean, we need you and others to step up and really carry the city. Next 20 years, man, watch out. If you're a surfer, you got a 10-foot wave coming, because this is going to be really fun.
It's exciting. I've been here since 2011. Devon Tower still had cranes around it.
Yeah.
And even just those last kind of 12 or 13, 14 years I've been here, I've seen growth, but obviously you've seen it. Got into the industry when it was probably the worst time to get into the industry, and you've seen it from the ground up. And so, it's, but I love what you said earlier about we're just getting started. There's a lot of things left, and that wave is coming. And whether it's hosting the Olympic down, the water thing, or if it's having softball here, or having the World Cup come through here, or using this place, or winning an NBA national championship, Oklahoma City is on the map, and it's definitely a place for people to be, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
It is.
So,
it is.
Mark, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Great stories. We're going to have to do this again, because I'm sure there's more stories, and people listening be like, you should have told this story, and you should have done this. So we'll have to reconvene at some point. But thanks so much for your time, and for people listening, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. If you're looking for a way to make a real difference, check out Bethany Children's Health Center. They're helping children reach their full potential as a leader in pediatric rehabilitation. They're also building a new outpatient center of excellence, and it's going to be a landmark right on Route 66. Want to learn more or even schedule a tour? Just head to bethanychildrens.org and click on the Ways to Give tab. That's bethanychildrens.org.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.